A standing ovation for the two Michaels following their release from Chinese prisons a couple of years ago. Ottawa claimed they were political pawns, detained following the arrest of a Chinese tech executive, Meng Wanzhou, in Vancouver. But according to the Globe and Mail, Spavor's lawyers are telling a different story. Long before his arrest, the entrepreneur had moved to China and was working to drum up investments in North Korea.
This way, the passport's here.
In 2013, Spavor made headlines when he helped to facilitate a trip to the Hermit Kingdom for American basketball star Dennis Rodman. That led to Spavor's unlikely friendship with North Korea's reclusive dictator Kim Jong-un. It's alleged that Spavor later recounted his experiences to fellow Canadian expat Michael Kovrig over drinks. According to the Globe report, Spavor's lawyers allege that unbeknownst to him, Kovrig then shared that intelligence with officials in Ottawa and in Beijing, which ultimately led to Spavor's arrest.
It's such an immense relief to be back in Canada.
Kovrig was working as a diplomat at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing, and in 2017 joined an independent global think tank, the International Crisis Group. The federal government says Kovrig was not a spy and has never worked for CSIS. Diplomatic officers are tasked with collecting information on security in countries of strategic importance, but they are not meant to conduct covert operations. A government spokesperson told Global News, perpetuating the notion that either Michael was involved in espionage is only perpetuating a false narrative under which they were detained by China. Joining us now from Montreal is Guy Saint-Jacques, who was Canada's former ambassador to China between 2012 and 2016. Mr. Saint-Jacques, thank you so much for joining us. Nice to see you. Let's start first with your reaction to the revelations we've learned today.
Well, I knew that there were ongoing negotiations taking place in Ottawa. I know that those with Michael Kovrig were settled some time ago. I didn't know exactly where the negotiations were with Mr. Spavor, but of course he is making some serious allegations, and I must say that based on my experience, I don't think it's the full story.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that the Mr. Spavor was watched by the Chinese security people, and the reason for this is that China considers North Korea as its backyard, and here is a foreigner, a Canadian, who has a very close access to the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, something that no Chinese has, and for that there was a bit of jealousy or concern of how influential Mr. Spavor could be. And from my perspective, I think this is the main reason why he was arrested by the Chinese.
As noted, Mr. Kovrig worked at the embassy there around the same time as your tenure. Was Mr. Kovrig a CSIS agent?
No, not at all. In fact, he was a good political officer, and there is an important distinction with spying work and political reporting work.